Hi all, good morning.
Good morning.
So in our last discussion, we have discussed about the budget and budget control configuration, and we have seen the original budget. Okay, so today we will see other way of budget, that is the revision budget. Another one is transfer budget. Okay, so for that, let's go to the budget register entries. Okay, like for example, if we want to create the budget accounting entries, like if you want to create original budget, so what we are doing, we'll click on new over here under budget register entries. Okay, after that we will select the budget model and budget code. These are the mandatory fields. Okay, so at here I am selecting the budget model as FY 2025, and budget code is nothing but what kind of budget transaction you are doing. Okay, like for example, if I'm doing the original budget, then I will click on original budget. Okay, and after that you will go to the budget accounting entries lines, and at here you will add the month start date. Okay, to update the budget, and after that you will select the budget accounting structure. Mostly your budget is defined on the profit and loss accounts only. Okay, which means your expenses and income. So when you say expenses and income, either it may be a your direct expenses or indirect expenses, direct income or indirect income. Okay, and after that you will select the respective dimension value. Like for example, at here I am defining the budget account for the uh, let's imagine I am selecting some purchase over sorry. Okay, let me select direct labor applied. So if you have any department, or if you have any business unit which you have defined during the your budget control configuration or budget basic budgeting, so in that case you need to provide that respective dimension. On that respective dimension basis, your budget is defined. Like for example, at here I am selecting the department has operation. Okay, and after that, next tab I am having the amount. So at here you can define the amount for that particular period. Okay, like for example I am defining amount as 5,000, and you have the type, whether it is a expense type or if it is a revenue. Okay, so you can select if it is revenue, then you will select as revenue. If it is expense, you will select as expense. And at here in comments column you will update your comments, or either you can update the expenditure name for your purpose, tracking purpose. Okay, so once you have updated this information, so what we will do, we will save this particular record, and if you have workflow you will submit it for workflow. Okay, if there is no workflow, you can directly click on update budget balance. Okay, so once you have clicked on update budget balance, so there will be a budget process budget register entry one pop-up form will be applied. So if you want to run on this particular pop-up I mean this particular operation at the backend, so you can enable that as yes. So currently I'm not enabling this batch process. Okay, so I will click on update. So once you have clicked on update, so what will happen, the budget, original budget has been applied on this particular main account. Okay, so you can track this particular expense original budget, you can track from two different reports we are having. Okay, either you can navigate, let me duplicate this form. Okay, either you can go to the budgeting module. Under budgeting, inquiries and report, we have inquiries. Under inquiries we have actual versus budget. So if you open this particular budget form, So this is the inquiry form. So at here we need to select the financial dimension sets, as we are defining our budget based on the main account plus department. Okay, and we need to select the budget model. So once we have selected this one, so we need to click on apply parameter. So once you have clicked on apply parameter, it will display all the ledger account for this particular budget model with this particular combination. Okay, now you can see there are certain accounts which has been defined. Now we have defined one of the account as direct labor applied and operation. Now you can see under revised budget is showing as 5,000, actually is 0. Okay, so the variance amount, so this is the variance amount, is nothing but your revised budget minus actual amount. Okay, so it will give you that particular balance. Okay, now I have the original budget of 5,000. Okay, in case if I want to modify that particular 5,000, I need to increase during that particular period to 10,000. So in that case we will create the revision budget. Okay, for revision budget, again you will navigate to the same budgeting module. Okay, under budgeting, budget register entries, so we will click on new over here and we will select same budget model FY 2025 and budget code. At here you will select revision, which is nothing but the adjustment. Okay, so once you have selected the budget type, again you will add the line, same how you have added the original budget, the same way you will select the same accounting structure and you will select the respective ledger account. Like for example, I am applying on the direct labor applied and I am giving the department as operation. Okay, so at here I am giving the additional 2,000 for this month. Okay, so after that I will click on save and update register balance. Okay, so once you have clicked on updated budget balance, then what will happen you can see. Let me go back to the another tab, actual versus budget report. Okay, so I will just click on apply parameter, so it will be recalculate the budget balances. Okay, now you can see for direct labor applied the revised budget is 7,000. So how this particular 7,000 happened? So we have created two budget register entries. One is the original budget, another one is revision budget. So you can also track that particular transaction by selecting that respective line, and you can see on top we have budget accounting entries. Okay, so if you click on this particular budget accounting entries, so it will show you the budget balance for that particular main account sets. Okay, so this is the original budget and this is the revision budget. Okay, now in the same inquiry form you can see we have the period balance. So if you click on this particular period balance, it will show you for that particular period how much is my budget accounting entry and how much is my revised budget accounting entry and how much is my actual. Okay, so now let me show you how it will look like. Okay, let me go back to the same budget register entries. So at here I am creating new and I am selecting the budget model as FY 2025. Budget code I am selecting original. I am creating new budget accounting entry by adding a line. Okay, so at here let me give the start date as January 1st Okay, so let me select one of the main account, expense account. Like for example, electricity expenses. Okay, so at here I am selecting the uh, department as finance. Okay, and I'm giving the expense amount as 5,000. Okay, after that I will click on save. Now I just added a record for 1 month. Okay, now I want to add for whole year, then in that case I will give the my whole period amount. Okay, and I can allocate across the period. Okay, and also this amount is 5,000, right? So I want to record this particular 5,000 amount on each monthly expenses base as my register entry. Then I will go to the entire recurrence. Okay, at here I will select month, and at here I will give the last month end date. So let's imagine I am giving the end date as December 31st 2025, and if I click on create, now you can see up to December 1st 2025 the recurring amount has been updated. Okay, now after clicking on save, if I click on update register balance, now you can see the budget register entry has been will be posted. Okay, and also for annually expenses 60,000 has each month having the 5,000. Okay, now if I go back to the actual versus budget report, let me apply the parameter. Okay, so we have created the electricity expenses. So this is the expense account. Okay, electricity expenses. So if I go to the period balance, now you can see for each period we are having the budget amount as 5,000. Okay, for example, if this particular period, if you have been exceed 5,000, then system will stop you. You have been exceeded for this particular period 5,000. Okay, so let us go back to the uh, in another tab. Let us go to the transaction, like for example journal. Let me create a new journal. Lines. Okay, so at here let me select the expense type as electricity. Okay, and let me select the department as finance. Okay, so currently I'm in the February month, so I'm debiting this particular expenses with 8,000, and I'm selecting my offset account as bank. Okay, now I have saved this particular record. Okay, now you can see we didn't receive any error message, and we didn't get any warning message also. Okay, so let us check the budget check and error and warning. So you can see there is no budget check is performing over here. What would be the reason the budget check is not performed? Okay, now let us go back to the budget control configuration. So let me open in another tab. So let us go back to the budget control configuration. Sorry, I have opened budget cycle, budget control configuration under setup. Okay, so at here, if you go to the assign budget model, sorry, define budget control rule. So if you see, we have main expenses starting with 7 series, and at here you can see it has been mentioned as 6 lakhs to 601400. Okay, and at here it is mentioned as 602200. Okay, so at here in this particular range, that particular main account, it's not populating, so because of that it is not calculating the, I mean, it is not performing the budget check. So let us click on create draft. Okay, now at here in selling expenses, so at here let me change the code. Okay, and let me click on save this particular record. Activate budget. Let me delete this one first. So at here what happening means, we have selling expenses. In selling expenses we have given this up to 699,999 account. Okay, so in this particular between range, if any account it's come, so it will directly check the budget control validation. Now at here what we are getting this particular error is, I will show you. Now let me mention 601000. Okay, now we have this particular training and development fee, and it is mentioned as 602200. So in this particular range, I mean, I'm giving as 69999 like that, right? So it is checking this particular definition is already defined. So because of that, it is not allowing me to save that particular record. So let me delete this particular training. Okay, now at here in selling expenses, what I will do, instead of is in between, so let me make it as begin with 6. Okay, as I have defined over here begin with 7, so let me define begin with 6. Okay, so for this, so instead of control by year, I will select as physical period and let it be same, and I will click on save. Okay, so after that I will go to the budget control configuration and let me activate this particular uh, configuration what we have made. So let me refresh this particular page. Yeah, so it has been activated. Now if I go back to the again journal voucher, let me go to the function budget control, budget check error and warning. Let me recreate. Now you can see when I've updated has the transaction amount as 9,000. Now you can see the budget transaction has been exceeded for this particular transaction. Okay, now if you go to the functions, budget check error and warning. Okay, now you can see we are receiving error message as the budget check has been failed, it has been exceeded. Okay, now if you go to the uh, if I go to the actual versus budget, okay, so in this particular report, if I click on apply parameter, so it was showing me I am having the 60,000 as the budget balance. Okay, for electricity finance, it's showing as 60,000 as my budget balance. Okay, so if I see my periodic balance, I have 5,000 only. Okay, so it is exceeding with the 4,000. Okay, so it should show 4,000 has been exceeded, but at here you can see it's showing as 9,000, it has been exceeded. You can see the budget fund available is 9,000 USD. The transaction is so and so voucher number. Okay, why it is showing as 9,000? So the reason behind, initially when we created our budgeting control rules, during that time we don't have this particular main account. So after modifying this particular configuration, so before that we have already defined our budget control, so that was the reason it's not checking this particular budget register entry which we have posted. Okay, so this kind of scenario questions which may appear during your interview, so they will ask, like for example, if I have not defined the main account, so if I create the budget register entry, then what will happen? So this is the question which they will raise. Okay, so this is the real-time scenario where you can see I have created the budget register entry, but I have not defined in the budget control configuration. But if you create any transaction, it will says that the complete amount of the transaction amount will be shown as it has been exceeded. Okay, now you can see it is showing as 9,000 has been exceeded. If you see your budget control accounting entries, it's showing as the budget is available up to 5,000. Okay, now let me create another budget register entry for same electricity expenses with different dimension. Then you can understand what is the difference between these two. So let me create new. So at here let me select the budget model as FY 2025. Original budget. So at here I am selecting same electricity expenses, and at here I am selecting department as uh, project operations. Okay, and at here I am giving the amount as 3,000 each. Let me allocate for whole period, whole year. Now let me update this particular budget register balance. Now if I go back to the my actual versus budget report, main account plus department, FY 2025, apply parameter. Okay, so I just making begin with 6 so that it will be easy. Yeah, now you can see this is the electricity with expenses with project operations. Okay, now let me change the dimension over here from finance. Let me select project operations. Okay, now let me click on save. Now you can see the budget transaction has been exceeded. The available fund for this particular dimension value is showing as 6,000. Okay, now you can see if I go back to the my actual versus budget for this particular electricity with project dimension. So if I go to the period balance, okay, so for this particular period I having the 3,000 as my budget balance. Okay, and if you see the journal entry, I'm posting with 9,000. So what is the difference over here? 6,000 is the difference, and you can see the 6,000 has been exceeded. It's showing the error message over here, and it is also stopping you by posting the transaction. Okay, like for example, now in the budget control configuration we have over budget, and we have mentioned that this prevent reason at here we have given as prevent over budget processing. Okay, so when you select this particular prevent over budget processing, then what will happen, the transactions whatever you are trying to post, if any error it's coming, it means that it will not allow you to proceed further until you make it resolve of that particular budget issue. Okay, now at here I'm having the difference of 6,000 as my budget is not available, so because of that I'm not able to post it for this particular transaction. Okay, so far we have seen the original budget and revised budget. Now let's see how the transfer budget will be created. Okay, so for that I will go to the budget register entry. Okay, let me click on new to create new budget register entry. So at here I will select the budget model as FY 2025, and budget code at here I will select as transfer budget. Okay, after that I will click on add line, and at here I will select the same accounting structure, and at here I will select the dimension value. Like for example, at here I am selecting the electricity expenses, and department at here I am selecting as finance, and in this particular line I am defining minus let's imagine I'm defining minus 8,000. Okay, adding another line. Okay, for this particular record doesn't have budget, so let's take some other transaction. Okay, direct labor. So let me select direct labor. Direct labor with the dimension set. We have given the transaction 22 with 7,000. So this 7,000 will be in minus. Okay, so I am reducing the balance from this particular line. So I will add another line. So at here I will select our electricity expenses, and my department dimension I'm selecting as project. Okay, so at here I will give 7,000. Okay, now after that what I will do, I will save this particular record and I will click on update budget balance. So once I have clicked on update budget balance, so what will happen? The 7,000 will be reduced from the direct labor applied. Now if I go back to the updated register entry, our actual expenditure expenses. Now at here, this 7,000 will be reduced from this particular main account and it will be added to this particular main account combination. Okay. Now if I click on apply parameter, so if I go to this particular electricity expenses uh, period balance, now you can see the revised budget for this particular account is showing as 10,000. Okay, 3,000 is my original budget, 7,000 is my revised budget. So you can see the revised budget is showing as 10,000. Now if I go back to the journal voucher entry, if I again click on functions, budget check and error and warning, still it's showing as the same. So let me refresh the page, or let me go back to budget check error and warning. Okay, let me remove this particular. Okay, I need to re-add the line by because the saving issue having over here. So after that we will click on validate simulate posting. The simulate posting is nothing but it will do a dummy trial posting, and if we face any issue it will pop up over here. Okay, now you can see the voucher is okay, so we can post this particular transaction. Any doubt on this particular budget accounting entries? So we have total three budgeting accounting entries. One is the original budget, revised budget, transfer budget. Okay, so these are the three conceptual which usually you will work on it, and the budget control configuration and how it will work over here. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so far we have seen one of the account reporting tool, that is the actual versus budget. So other than that, so if you go back to the same budgeting inquiries and report, so we have actual versus budget by period. So this report will show if you want to apply on based on the period basis, then it will be shown over here. Like for example, at here I have selected financial year 2025. I have clicked on apply parameter. So let me filter on this particular filter option, add line, and budget accounting entries, budget, Okay, so what I did over here, I just went to this particular filter option. So at here I need to add the criteria, so that was the reason what I did. I have added a line, and at here I have selected the table as budget accounting entries. So, and then the derived table value by default it will be populated. Under dimension value I have selected as main account. I have clicked on OK. Then it will display all the dimension sets over here. Okay. So this is one of the report for the period versus actual budget. So another report. So far we have seen the basic budget. Okay. So under budget control, we have budget control statistics. Okay. So this is another report where you will have the budget cycle 2025. Let me select that one, and after that let me click on apply parameter. Okay, so this report will show how much is my expenses with that respective dimension value, the dimension name, I mean the main account, I mean name. This is my total available budget. So this is my revised budget. So how much is my actual expenditure is nothing but the so far you have booked the entries, right? That one. Okay, you have the budget reservation for encumbrance and budget reservation for the pre-encumbrance. Okay, so at here, so what do you mean by encumbrance and pre-encumbrance? So let's understand this topic. So this is the topic which definitely in interview they may ask. So what is difference between encumbrance and pre-encumbrance? So encumbrance is nothing but straightforward when you book your actual expenditure based on when you book your invoice, then your encumbrance will be booked. Okay, when you book your purchase order invoice, so what will happen, your encumbrance will be converted to the expenditure. Okay, so you can simply say in other words, during my product receipt the encumbrance will be consumed on the budget, and this encumbrance will be converted to the expenditure during my PO invoice. Okay, the pre-encumbrance is nothing but you will reserve some budget during your purchase requisition. Okay, so in purchase requisition form, let me go to the procurement sourcing, purchase requisition, all purchase requisition. Okay, so for example, if you want to reserve budget for one of the transaction, I mean one of the PR purchase requisition line, for that you can go to the financial and you can see there will be a reserve budget fund. Okay, so currently this particular status is closed, so that was the reason it is not enabled. So when you click on new, okay, so here I have created new purchase requisition. Okay, so if you go to the financial, still this is not enabled. The reason behind is, if you see our budget control configuration, so it is always interlinked with your budget control configuration only. Okay, if you go to the assigned budget model, so, sorry, budget fund available, you can see at here we have an option called pre-encumbrance. Let me show you budget reserve. Yeah, so this is the pre-encumbrance. These two check box we need to check it. This is the pre-encumbrance and this one also. Okay, so after checking these two, now let me activate my budget control configuration. So now what will happen, now the pre-encumbrance configuration has been added. So if you create any purchase requisition, so in that purchase requisition you can add the budget. by default in advance. Taking time. Just give me a minute, let me add the line. There was issue with this particular menu item. In this demo instance, it's not showing. I will show you this one tomorrow in another instance. Okay. Uh, this reserve budget fund, I will show you in another instance. So basically, what will happen in this particular pre-encumbrance? So you will click on this particular reserve budget fund and you will define your budget. So the budget will be reserved for this particular transaction. Okay, so once you have converted this particular purchase requisition to purchase order, okay, and after that there will be, you will confirm your purchase order and you will post your product receipt. So once you have posted the product receipt, then what will happen, from pre-encumbrance it will transfer to the encumbrance. Okay, and after that, uh, from pre-income to encumbrance, it has been transferred during your product receipt. So once you post the invoice, from encumbrance it is transferring to your actual budget account. Okay, and at during the invoice time, your expenditure has been booked.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so the term encumbrance is nothing but, don't think it is a different terminology like that. It is nothing but to process or to situate some of the expenditure in to store in some temporary account basis. Okay, like for example, we have some control accounts which will use as to park the amount in certain place, right? So the term encumbrance is also the same. Okay, so to book the budget, so we will park in this particular encumbrance. So for that there will be no main account will be mapped. Okay, it's just a temporary form where it will be stored these particular transactions. Okay, I will show you tomorrow that one, budget control, I mean reserve budget. Similarly, you will
Uh,
have budget control statistics by period. Okay, even this report also will show you for each statistics how it will show you. Let me show you after running this particular report. So you have the dimension value, so you can select any one of the dimension value, like for example at here I am selecting the electricity expenses by 32 project. So if I click on apply parameter, so it will show respective to that particular main account dimension set only. Okay, if you want to run all, it will not run. Why? Because it's individual dimension based, क्योंकि at here the dimension value is mandatory. Okay, so at here you can also see, so this is the transaction which we have posted for the 9,000. Okay, and at here you can see in encumbrance, so you can able to see nothing has been available right now. Why? Because we have transferred from encumbrance to our actual expenditure. When you book any transaction, if you book any expense account transaction directly, the expenditure will be booked in GL. If you are booking through the purchase order invoice, during the GRN time your encumbrance will be created, and during the invoice time your actual expenditure will be booked. Okay, now you can see there is one actual expenditure transaction, that is 9,000. Okay, so in this particular budget module transaction, the basic, I mean the basic budget and budget control, so which is related to the complete finance relation, and it has been covered over here in this particular topic. So mostly you will work on the two cases. One is the these two reports and as well as these two reports. So other than that, you can see the budget register entries by dimension. So this is another report. So this report, what it will do based on the particular dimension module, you can run it. Like for example, at here I am running the financial dimension set has main account and department. Okay, after that if I click on apply parameter, now you can see it will show me the all the budget register entries irrelevant to the any either it may be revision or either it may be a transfer, it will show over here. Okay, so similarly these all are the accounting entries only. There is another budget accounting entries, there is another accounting entry. Okay, so you need to select the budget model and you need to click on apply parameter, so it will show all the budget kind of transaction, whether it is posted or not posted, so you can track over here. Okay, so in budgeting, so these are the major topic. Okay, so we have one more topic called budget planning. So this topic will be covered in the project management and accounting session. So this is not required. So when we are I mean during our financials, so we will mostly focus on up to budget control configuration. So you can see we have a budget planning, so this is completely a new cycle where it is triggered with the project management and accounting. Okay, so where you will have forecast. So forecast is nothing but, so you will imagine for this particular year my total budget is this much is my forecast. Okay, so your future predicting that my budget for this particular expense account is this much, so that much I will define as my budget. Okay, so if you want to revise any budget, so what you need to do, you need to revise your forecast one, then after that you need to update your budget. Okay, so this topic I'm not covering over here, it's related to complete project management accounting side, so that was the reason I'm not covering that particular topic. Even if I start covering that one, then the main concept in the financials you will miss out again. You will forget this particular budget control and budget control configuration. It's completely little bit tricky, this one project budget planning. Okay, so if you want to know about this one, then you need to take a different course like cost accounting and project planning, so you have to go in that directions. Okay, so mostly even in interview they will not ask this particular topic. In case if they ask, you can say that I didn't get exposure. If you give me opportunity, then they will uh, give you. Mostly so far in my last 10 years I didn't work on this particular budget planning, but I work on the project forecast like that with the help of this particular module itself. Okay, any question on this particular budget module?
Sir, so we will do budget limit only for expenses, right?
No, even revenue for you can do it.
Revenue is not, it's uh, uncountable, right? Revenue, how much it is good for us, right?
Yeah, but it depends on the company. In some company they have uh, some accounts for revenue also budgets. Okay, so even if you see our budget accounting entries, if I create any new, you can see there is an option whether you want to define your budget on revenue or expenses. Let me show you that. Created when I added the line, you can see the amount type. Okay, either it is a expense or revenue. If it is revenue, you will update the amount in negative. Okay, if it is expense, then you will give the amount in positive. Okay, if you want to reduce the budget balance, then also you will give amount in negative. As we can see in transfer budget, I have put minus 7,000. Okay,
Yes, sir.
any more doubts? Okay,
No, Gautam.
if there is no doubts, then tomorrow we will start new module, that is the cash and bank. Okay, so this is another small module. So already we have covered couple of things in this particular module. So tomorrow we will cover this cash and bank management module. So this is the different module, and already we have covered couple of things related to this particular module in the APAR by selecting the bank as a payment method. So we will see more in detail tomorrow how we can uh, what are the major operations in this particular transaction which we will do it. Okay. So see you tomorrow, and we will see these particular bank transactions.
Sir.
Okay.